There are several controversies that we will be covering in this section of the feud. The first is, how old were the McCoy brothers, and did the newspaper change the ages to make the deaths more sensational? And we have to ask, why did the newspaper reports, and the Sun newspaper is not the only one to do this, split Randolph Bud McCoy into two people? Who was Alexander Messer? Why is he never spoken of in the feud itself if what he did to Randolph McCoy Jr. was as horrific as the Sun described? We will also dive into the controversy surrounding the timing of Ellison Hatfield's death and how it played a role on when the McCoy brothers faced their demise. All aboard the Kentucky-Tennessee Living Time Machine. Please fasten your seatbelts and keep your arms and legs inside of the vehicle at all times. But to get going, we need your help. We still need to fire up that time machine to transport us. Please help us by clicking on the like, subscribe, and bell notification buttons down below. Not only does this fire up the time machine for our flight back in time, but it convinces the YouTube algorithm that we need a bigger vehicle to reach more people who love history as much as you do. Now, back to our story. The age controversy. First, let's get out there the truth of the situation. The Sun's news article was incorrect about the ages of the McCoy brothers. There is also the very interesting fact that we learned about Randolph Jr. and Bud McCoy. The following is the information we could find out about each of the McCoys. Tobert McCoy was born May 6, 1853. Another source states that his date of birth was June 1, 1854, in Pike County, Kentucky. According to the Genie website, Tobert's first wife was Cora Nunnery McCoy. The pair had a son named Luther McCoy, but he is not listed in other places as being the son of Tobert. He then married Mary Ann Butcher as his second wife on February 3, 1881, in Pike County. We also have a listing from the Genie website that Tobert was also married to Misty McCoy, making her his third and final wife. Tobert had at least 3 sons and 2 daughters. According to the genealogy search, the often recognized children of Tobert were Samuel T. McCoy, 1874 to 1959, Tobert G. McCoy, 1880 to 1956, Cora McCoy, 1882 to 1888, Melvin McCoy, 1882 to 1941, and Laura May McCoy, 1883 to 1957, which means Mary Ann or Misty would have had to been pregnant with Laura May during the time of the shooting at the pawpaw trees. Tobert would die on August 9, 1882, at the age of 28 to 29 years old. Farmer McCoy was born in 1863 in Pike County, Kentucky. His death would be recorded also on August 9, 1882. He would have been 18 to 19 years old. Randolph Bud McCoy Jr. was born in 1864 in Pike County, Kentucky, and would die on August 9, 1882. He would have been 17 to 18 years old. According to the article, they had split Randolph Jr. into 2 boys and misaged him by saying that he was either 13 or 9 years old. This was untrue. He was older than the newspaper sensationalized. We can only surmise that this was done not only to sell papers, but to have people take sides in this feud. We have also found in many sources that either Randolph Jr. or Bud are used for the third McCoy brother, that they are never used together to describe the same person. Who was Alexander Messer? One of the more curious of the lesser-known characters of the Hatfield and McCoy feud is that of Alexander Messer. He was born on August 13, 1837 in Perry County, Kentucky. He served on the Union side of the Civil War in the 4th Kentucky Mounted Infantry Company C. He was able to receive a pension for his service during the war and would later use his money for his legal expenses and to support his family. He did ask for an increase of this pension because of his disability and old age. He was known as a Hatfield supporter during the feud. While he was tried for his participation of the execution of the three McCoy brothers, he was also tried for being the sole shooter of Randolph Bud McCoy Jr. Messer was tried in Pike County, Kentucky, and sentenced to life in prison. He was paroled in 1906, but violated the terms of his parole a few months later. He was sent back to the prison hospital in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where he died at the age of 85 years old on June the 24th, 1923. We cannot dispute that he was a participant in the events of August 9th, 1882. We also cannot dispute currently that the events as relayed by the Sun article did not take place in the manner that the article described. However, we are disputing whether known facts are not lining up with the author of the article. The controversy over Ellison's death. One of the biggest controversies is, when did Ellison die exactly? Did he die of his injuries at the site of the fight? Did he live for a couple of days after the fight? We tend to agree with those that say that Ellison died a few days after the fight. And here is our logical evidence or proof for this position. If Ellison Hatfield had died on the spot, as some sources propose that he did, then why wait several days to execute the McCoy brothers? If Ellison was deceased, why take him on a stretcher to Mate Creek at the home of Anderson Farrell? Everyone who is involved in the fight would have been immediately arrested and taken to the Pike County Jail. There would have been no doubt who did it, and there would have been no doubt that those involved needed to be jailed. The election had taken place in Kentucky, and it was held not that far from the jailhouse. The Hatfields would not have had a chance to exact their revenge because the brothers would have been sitting in the jail. However, if Ellison Hatfield had survived his injuries long enough to be taken immediately to a doctor for help, then this would explain why the McCoy brothers were taken to the home of John Hatfield on Blackberry Creek. While at the home of John Hatfield, a decision had to be made where and how the McCoy brothers would be arrested and face trial. The home was surrounded by the Hatfield family, and after the guards and the McCoy brothers ate their breakfast, they set out for the Pike County Jail. Now we have to say, this is the worst move that the guards could have ever made. The McCoy brothers should have never been moved under these circumstances. First, there should have been more men guarding the McCoy brothers. Second, the Hatfields should have been cleared out from the area. And third, they should have moved them to the jail immediately after the fight, not to a home where it was less guarded and not safe for the three brothers. Those that were holding and guarding the McCoy brothers should have expected that there would have been a mob to attempt to take their lives. The next thing that helps us with the logical explanation why Ellison did not die immediately was the date of the McCoy deaths on August 9, 1882. This was a full 4 days after the fight. Why wait so long if Ellison had died immediately? But we really have to hand it to Ellison. He had to have been a strong man to live so long with 27 stabs and a gunshot wound. And many of those wounds were considered to be immediately fatal from all that we can find out about them. So the Hatfields kind of sort of knew that Ellison might not pull out of his sickbed. So, in a weird way, this was a death watch. One has to wonder what would have happened to the McCoy brothers if Ellison Hatfield had survived the knife fight. In next week's video, we will begin with what happened at the home of John Hatfield between Valentine and Sarah McCoy and the movements of the McCoy brothers to the Pike County Jail. Thank you. We at Kentucky, Tennessee Living would like to thank you for watching our video series on the myths and truths of the Hatfield and McCoy feud. Don't forget to hit that like button, as the more likes we receive, the more likely YouTube is to suggest our videos to other viewers. Also, to receive notice when we upload a new video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell notification button. Please be sure to double check that you are subscribed, as some of our viewers are finding that they are no longer subscribed to our channel. We thank you for continuing to support Kentucky, Tennessee Living as we are discovering the mysteries in Appalachian history.